Hi, my name's Jana, and I'm one of the administrators at the Gilliland Ranch. I'm here with my partner, Nate, today, and we want to share with you some of the flavors of this unique alchemical gathering that we've organized for this year called the Transformation Celebration.
We annually do a celebration and gathering every single year around this time. In years past, it's been called Science and Spirit and World Transformation Conference. It's been known by many different names. This year, we are dubbing it the Transformation Celebration, and we're going to be exploring a wide range of ancient and modern information, natural phenomenon, Native American wisdom traditions, esoteric world history, sovereign free law, free energies, UFOs, and there's going to be an epic nighttime skywatch facilitated by a number of people with lots of interesting technologies and lots of experience. We see that every year these gatherings are a massive opportunity for awakening and activation for people on a number of different levels.
Yes, both individually and united.
And there's this cross-pollination of information and awareness that is being shared amongst all sorts of different aware communities. And so that's kind of one of the things that this gathering has a nod towards that spirit of people sharing and continuing to grow and expand. So if you are interested and you want to request an invite to this, then please go ahead and check the information at the bottom of the video, and we're going to have all the links there provided for that.
Or you can email transformationcelebration@gmail.com and I'll get back to you.
So real quick, just to kind of go over the schedule, people are invited to show up on Thursday, June 27th if they'd like. It starts officially Friday in the evening, June 28th. We're going to have a meet the speakers, meet your fellow travelers sort of thing going on in the evening with a large bonfire and the first initial skywatch. On Saturday and Sunday, we're going to have speakers and lectures and music all throughout the day, and again we'll be doing skywatch in the evening. And on Monday we're going to have a number of different optional workshops and opportunities for people to book private sessions with a number of different healers and a number of different modalities that are available.
Another unique aspect of this gathering is something that we've come to know as Kaleidoscope Community Yoga. It's really exciting because it's an accessible modality from everyone from beginner levels to intermediate, and it's much more about community support in a joyous atmosphere, and also that in these formations we do create giant human mandalas. So we're really excited about that.
And so the following is going to be some bits of conversation that we had with two of the amazing individuals who are going to be contributing to this year's celebration. So we caught up with mystical philosopher and modern-day Renaissance man Neil Kramer about the conference, about what he has brewing for his upcoming presentation, and the magic in the air around this swiftly approaching unique alchemical convergence. So for more info on Neil Kramer, just go ahead and check out neilkramer.com if you're not already familiar with it. Check out his book, The Unfoldment, or there are a ton of audios, excellent essays that are over there.
So we also had the chance to catch up with Carl Hubble, also known as Anahata Beatspeaker, based out of Portland, Oregon. Anahata Sacred Sound Current is going to be here performing on Saturday night, helping build and expand the potential energy of the gathering. Very excited about building the energy around that.
If people are interested in checking out some of the music of Anahata, you can do that by going to his Bandcamp. Just go ahead and Google Anahata Sacred Sound Current. His Bandcamp should come up. I'd highly recommend the instrumental album, his first album entitled Pillars of Creation. Sound-guided meditations for healing and transformation. And if people are interested in something with some of the vocals added, you might be interested in checking out the newest project, the Manas Project. Where the underground meets the heavens is a way many are describing this revolutionary new album. A meeting of divine minds and artists from across North America, this project has been dubbed a soundtrack to the awakening, produced by Portland's Anahata Sacred Sound Current. It blends the mysterious sounds and mantras of the East with the epic urban beats and the sound of the hip-hop underground. and many of the artists are from the Revolt Motion recording label, Collective. This is a thriving nonprofit community dedicated to using the gift of lyricism and hip-hop to deliver spiritual and political messages of change. So I'd also encourage anybody who's not familiar to go check out Revolt Motion as well. It is also noteworthy to mention that this instrumental in the background of the opening section is off of the first album from Anahata Sacred Sound Current, Pillars of Creation, the track entitled Ancient Reflections. And so now we're going to transition into some of the conversation that we had with Neil Kramer. Directly after that, we'll transition into some of the conversation that we got to have with Anahata. And then after that, we're going to close with an outro with track 4, Durga Pahimam, off of the new Vimanas project. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. We hope you guys enjoy. And we got philosopher, modern-day Renaissance man, Neil Kramer here with us on the call.
Hey, how you doing?
Fantastic, Neil. Neil, can you tell us a little bit about what you got up on the lineup without giving away your entire presentation? Can you talk about some of the themes that you're going to be presenting this summer at the Transformation Celebration?
Well, every time I do a presentation, I like to make it new. So I'll tell you one thing, nobody will have seen it before. They certainly won't have seen it out of my mouth. So I always try and give fresh information about our path, about our journey, about our evolution and all those wonderful things. I am going to put a special emphasis this time on some of the more mystical aspects in real life, and also as we are going to be converging in a space that is supports what I would call natural phenomena. I'm also going to talk about some of the non-human life forms, believe it or not, that are sort of imprinted throughout English folklore and have a very strong connection with the old megalithic sites, you know, the dolmens and the stone circles and the burial chambers, and the, you know, all these fantastic structures that are sort of 3, 4, 5, 6,000 years old, older than the pyramids. There's a very strong connection between these life forms that, of course, in the mainstream are heretical to even think about it, let alone talk about it. These little sprites and spriggans and all these unusual beings, and the importance of them in the modern world today. So I'm going to go into a very esoteric area that I know perhaps Jana in particular will probably enjoy, because we have a shared interest in those matters. But I'm going to practically apply that as something that is relevant whether you live in the city or whether you live in Johannesburg or, you know, London or wherever. How these energies and how the land is so intertwined with our consciousness that there is no real separation, and that gap between consensus reality, i.e. what we think is real and solid, and the imaginal landscape, what we think is very personal and subjective, actually doesn't exist. There is no gap. And so the strength of being of these entities and creatures and these vortices in the land, and what they were using the stone circles for, and all these fabulous technologies that they had, which were based in rock and crystal, not necessarily in silicon and metal and glass and aluminum as we have today, but a different kind of technology, how that stuff comes to life, you know, in the real world. So yeah, I'm going to push out into that later on we're nearly there now, aren't we? It's only, a few weeks away.
Yeah, I mean, it's already June in a few days.
So there's quite a diverse lineup here that's going to be here at the conference. We've got, aside from Neil Kramer, there's Spencer Barclay, Laura Eisenhower, Joel Garbon, John Kelly, Itasha, James Gilliland, Dr. Dream, and Victoria Liljenquist. So we were talking about this a few minutes ago, Neil. I guess you had, you've had some people commenting like, hey, I don't know who all the people are at this. It seems like it's pretty diverse. And you just put something up, a little bonus blurb on your website.
Yeah.
You want to just talk to us kind of about your perspective on such a diverse alchemy?
Yeah, I think it's really significant, that point. I'm glad you raised it, because it's one of the things that is unique about your gathering, and why it's nice to come back, and why we've had such a strong relationship, really, because that alchemy, that diversity, where you're taking all these different ingredients and putting them together, not only does it work, not only is it important, but I think that you don't often see it anywhere else. I've been to conspiracy conferences, I've been to philosophy conferences, I've been to psychedelic conferences, I've been to psychology events, all different kinds of things. And that's great, there's nothing wrong with that, to sort of drill down into a specific area. But the learning and the growth is slower where there isn't that diversity of mental ingredients. So as I said on the webpage, we're talking about spirituality, phenomena, philosophy, law, technology, channeling, UFOs, Native American wisdom traditions, psychology, mysticism, world history, all kinds of amazing things. And as you yourselves know very well, although we're choosing consciously, from your point of view, to put forward a nice, diverse lineup, portfolio of, wonderful information, as it actually happens on the day, or over the weekend, should I say, something special happens when all those energies come together, and it's something that is beyond our little local consciousness. And I've seen that happen both the times I've been at your event, and I think I can feel that coming about again. So there is truly an alchemy involved in that. And as we've said before, the other perspective on it is, if you see the ranch as a school, we have an elementary school there, we have a high school there, and we have a college there, a university. So we've got the people who are just learning to read and write, and we've got the people who are doing the professorships, and they all wander around and mingle together, and it's a very healthy thing to do that. So we have to respect the newcomers, and we also have to, give a nod to the old timers as well. But the lovely thing about the ranch is that all those people are very happily, equally sharing information and energy together. You don't really see that anywhere else. I've done a lot of these things over the years, and it's rare to come across that. So that's the real nutritious value for me, is that, as you say, the alchemy is the perfect word, and that's definitely what happens at these events.
Yeah, it's like a creative soup, and when we look at the topics that we want to cover, we think about how we can balance out also some of the powerful information that is coming through there. Is that there's a higher potential to talking just about, okay, Joel Garbon's going to talk about free energy, and now Itasha's going to be talking about Native American traditions and contact experiences. How are these two topics intrinsically related? And they are. And when you have these different elements, just like when you're making a curry or a soup, is that they help each other expand into a higher potential of deliciousness, or healing, in good food medicine.
It is. That's a lovely metaphor. I'm going to pinch that and use that myself. It's definitely an adventure, the human adventure. Sometimes we're artists, sometimes we're lovers, sometimes warriors, sometimes scholars. All of these different things together, and you can't just fry your mind and your crown chakra and just go just with the data, you know what I mean? The brow just getting pelted with that. You've got to open the heart, but you've also got to exercise will. Yeah. You've got to be grounded, rooted to the earth. Yeah. And I think that's the thing. It addresses that sort of full spectrum of awareness, doesn't it? It's not just mind, it's not just heart, it's not just will, it's all of them. And when you get those three working together, then that's when you start to get the magic happening. We're not just talking about information. We're not just talking about creative juices. And we're not just talking about divinity, we're talking about how those things interplay and how they are embedded in each other. And you can only really see that when you have contrast. And that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, and really too, the time for talking about things is also kind of over. We do need to come together and discuss, but there's a lot of practical tools and classes and things like that where we can, put these things into application into our lives. And
that's a really important point, because in years gone by, there were conferences where people come together and let's look at some unusual things. Ooh, that's weird. That's crazy. Let's look at this phenomena. Oh, wow. And then everybody walks away, and then forgets, and then goes on with the normal life. With this kind of event, as you say, we're sharing techniques and tools for real life, applied psychology, applied spirituality, applied philosophy, to say, how do we grow? How do we thrive? How do we move into the city? How do we live with normal people who aren't interested in this? How do we grow? How do we generate magic? How do we actually do these things? And that's people are wise and right to ask that question. So everything out of my mouth is, as far as possible, is geared towards saying, look, there's some nice ideas that I'll share with you, and there's some interesting things about European mysticism and esoteric traditions. But what I'm really interested in is how you can use this stuff in your life today and tomorrow.
It's like anybody, all we can do is inspire each other. So when you get that many people together in this kind of atmosphere, it's very much an inspiration generator, and people do walk away feeling almost accomplished in a way, I think.
Well, it's a privilege to be able to share in that inspiration equation, because not only do we do this on the stage and in the audience, but as we've said many times before, really the big thing is also what happens in the field and the environment and by the riverside and out at night, sat on the beautiful grass, looking at the mountain and looking at the stars. The conversations that come about in, quote, informal situations really change people's lives. Yes, it's nice to listen to Neil Kramer and Laura Eisenhower and James and Spence and all the other brilliant people. But people really remember the other people that they met and the conversations that they had at 2 o'clock in the morning, as they watch these things flying around over their heads in the sky. It's unique. It changes lives.
Yeah, we've become aware of this, and it's such a potent.
I know you have.
It's potent, and so we just really want to hold a door open for people, because it's a beautiful time of opportunity, and this land, and Nate and I and James, and James especially, he's been holding this door open for people to just have their own experience. So it's exciting.
And it's interesting too, a place in time in history and the cross-pollination of all this different information amongst all these different aware communities becoming more aware and more aware, and the whole thing just building and growing, the momentum of whatever we want to term this, a greater truth, awareness, empowerment, community or awareness.
It is, because if we are building a new world, which I have absolute faith in the fact that is occurring as we speak, every moment that passes, we have to examine all the different aspects of that new world. And you gave me a very kind introduction of Renaissance man. We have to be Renaissance people. We have to be aware of all the facets of humanity that we want to amplify, and all the ones that we want to dissolve as well, the things that we tried and didn't work, and the things that we didn't get to express, that we would long to express, and we desire to, really let that out into the world. So that means, as I said before, everything, all aspects of our lives, from the technical things and the creative things, the happy things, the weird things, all of that stuff needs to be looked at. So we're examining old templates, but we're applying that energy onto a unique contemporary situation. And I think you're right, we are transitioning from a world that is starting to recede in terms of this old hierarchy, as I call it, to a world where there's this, distributed, localized power in the individual. And so everybody has to become accustomed, in my view, to letting that power flow through them and becoming acclimated to making their own decisions about their lives and how they want to be, how they want to live, and get rid of the old idea that that's dependent on how much money you've got in your pocket or what job you've got. That world is going away.
Mm-hmm. Hear, hear. Yeah, the power that you're talking about that's derived, from the individual. It just, I guess my head is thinking in the visualization and the feeling of, all these people gathering, is that it has an effect on the individual, but I also feel that when we come together like this, there's a reverberation, and that the collective of that group, we benefit, but that it literally goes out like waves, I feel, to the rest of the conscious field, or the planetary mind, or whatever you'd like to call it.
It absolutely does, and whether you look at this from a scientific sort of quantum point of view, or philosophically, or psychologically, or if you want to look at it in terms of the old Eastern and Chinese and Japanese and Hindu traditions, if we can entertain just for a moment the idea that everything is connected, if one major node on that network suddenly energizes and illuminates, it is going to send ripples through the whole system. And sure enough, the people who are right there are going to feel it the most. But any sensitive person who is open, whether they're on the other side of the planet or whether it's back in time or forward in time, I feel that these events that we do, gathering, a couple of hundred people together or whatever it is, into a place, and as you say, getting that delicious soup of consciousness, really bubbling and really a delicious aroma and all those things, that has enormous effects on the entire ecosystem. Absolutely. No question about that.
Yeah, it goes full circle, right, from the healthy, nurturing part of it and all the way back to the compost. And then to grow more squash again.
Yeah, I work at the compost end mostly, that's right, yeah. But it's just so good for people to, if they can, get a few $100s together, whatever it is, $300 or whatever, right? Get that together, make it happen, right? Make it happen, because it's the best money you've ever spent, really. And once you're there, the benefit of that and the investment in yourself that money represents is enormous. You couldn't do any better. I mean, I blew that at the dentist the other day, and you know what I mean? It's just like...
Well, that's another aspect, because Nate and I actually met up here, and we were both those brave mystics that came up the driveway on our own at all hours that felt the pull here. And so I really greet a lot of people that come up this driveway, as though they are me.
Yeah.
You do, and we said that earlier, didn't we, that it wasn't an enormously long time ago that everybody who appears to, be part of this thing, and we all know each other, and we have the inside story and the backstage pass or whatever. That wasn't always that way. We were just like everybody else, and we still are, just wandering around the world, trying to find wholeness, trying to find wisdom, and sharing it with our fellow men and women. That's all we're doing. Yep. And I think that openness and that equalness, again, is very special to your event and your location. Because if you just go to the Hilton Hotel for a presentation for an hour and a half, there's none of that. There's none of that. It's like being in some sort of weird high school, where this is, that gathering is much more equal, and everybody talks to everybody all the time. It's a very safe place to let your guard down.
Yep, and that's the kind of sacred space that we cultivate and we hold, and that's why it's such a wonderful place to bring all of these different elements together and expand together, and go, because the only way we are going to make that conscious shift together is if we collectively decide. So there's, and you can pick and choose between what you want to attend at the conference. If something doesn't resonate with you, you can leave that. But
I was just
Yeah.
going to say exactly that, Jana.
Yeah.
Let me interject.
Absolutely.
It's absolutely true that, because in another walk of life, we'd go to a conference and say, well, that's rubbish, and oh, he was quite good and she was rubbish, so that just talk nonsense, and this guy was, crazy. He was talking about, elves and things, but this guy, was talking about science, that was really, really important and grounded. Wrong answer, really. Wrong answer. Like, everything is good. All of it has value. It's just, as you say, some things will resonate and some things won't. And the beauty of it, the growth value of it, is where it pushes your comfort zones, where somebody is stood there saying something that really challenges your belief system. You think, this is crazy, and yet inside you can feel some truth in it. And that's what's so important about the diversity and the alchemy at an event like this, because you might go to see these two guys or these two girls in particular and listen to their material because you know it and you respect it. But if you can, it's a really good idea to try and listen to as much of the other material and the other speakers as possible, because I guarantee that all of them have got some gems to share. And really the biggest one is where, as I say, it pushes your comfort boundary, where you know that you're standing on the edge of what you had long held as a very operative belief. And suddenly, somebody gets on the stage and just like asks you to take another step forward, and you're like, wow, So the challenge aspect in terms of our minds is enormous, and I think that just makes us better people. So we can't just throw things out. You have to leave that circle open for things to come in and things to go out.
So leaving things out, I've been thinking a lot about one of the themes that you brought up in your presentation last summer, Kramer, about effective use of our light units, of our energy, right? And being efficient with that. Has there been anything, I don't know, within this last year or recently that you've been doing with your own life as far as just effective management of light units or seeing that amongst the people that you've been working with?
Yeah, I can tell you. I mean, well, I'll talk about this at the event, but if you consider that your perceptive apparatus, we can talk about these 7 or 14 chakras or whatever, but let's boil it down into 3: mind, heart, and will. Right? If you consider that the point is to get a balance of perception through those centers of gathering information, but also they're the things that help you process stuff as well. So we often get out of balance in the mainstream world with our mind, and in my view, in the spiritual communities, we often get out of balance by letting us be heart-led all the time, which I think is a mistake. Introducing will, what we have in our solar plexus, what the Hindus call Manipura, and what the European mystics very much recognized as the piece of divinity inside us, is our will. When you get will into the equation, it balances out mind and heart without too much trouble, and it brings this wonderful word sovereignty into actual play in the world. So, in answer to your question, by examining the nature of will, which actually I'm going to do in much more detail in the workshop that I'm doing later on in the year at the ranch, examining will boosts your availability of energy or magic or light units, whatever we want to call it, and that has been a enormous, important piece of my investigation in my own life, in my own personal self, over the last 12 months. So how will and heart and mind work together is just very, very important. And will is also the sort of magic key that enables us to detach from the gloom of the control and the misery and the finance and, the emotional dramas and the psychic dragons and vampires and whatnot. When you bring will into the equation, it absolutely begins to set that stuff on fire and just reduce it to ashes, and then they just blow away. So will is my great investigation at the moment, particularly in European mysticism, because they equate it very literally with the divine. So divine will is free will, and the human will is God's creation, and it's right there inside us. It's right in our bellies.
Isn't it wonderful? Yeah, I appreciate that you're talking about that, because when people want to make change in their life or create their reality, sometimes that cauldron, and where you're talking about sort of that creatorship, being able to bring things forward from that soup pot, maybe we could say again, up into the heart, and then to expand from the heart, because that's where our creatorship is going to come from. So, because we often, we'll find this in our own lives or see it in other people around us, their inability to be able to bring things into life or to make positive change. And that has everything to do with the mechanics that you're talking about. So that's really exciting.
It does. It's very exciting because it's very immediate. As soon as you begin to grasp the equation of how it works, you can feel the changes right away. It's not something that takes... It's not like learning to play the piano from scratch where you just sound like shit for 5 years. It really starts to come overnight. And it's a very wonderful thing, and I just think that inability of people to manifest change and growth in their life is just a misconception. There's nothing wrong with them. There's nothing broken. There's nothing weak about people who can't do that. They just don't understand how. So a lot of my work, in fact the last 2 weeks in Arizona and Texas, has been spent focusing and working with people on that very subject. And once you start to do it, you realise that, quite frankly, intellectualizations don't mean shit. You can forget that. The data, it doesn't mean anything. You can know a solution for 20 years and still not be able to implement it. That is where we lack will. Bringing will into the equation gives you the confidence in your own presence in the world to actually be worthy enough, to be good enough, to be whole enough to actually change reality. And that is the power of the will.
Absolutely. Well, that sounds like some really important stuff, leading us back and into our own internal mechanics, and really empowering. And I'm really pleased that's going to be part of the content at the celebration.
You bet, yeah. I'd love to share that information with you guys and all the wonderful people who come along. And as I say, we need the heart as well, we need the mind as well. So it's when those things work together, and opening the heart is very important, particularly for a cerebral Westerner. So I think, there's a lot of wonderful people at the ranch who can help us do that. Those of us who may struggle a little bit with that, through the space that people hold and the warmth that people radiate and the music and the food, and just being able to sit with family who maybe you've never met before, and suddenly after 5 minutes you realise that you've known them for thousands of years is a wonderful thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Go where you're called.
That doesn't get old.
No, it doesn't.
It does not get old, no.
Nope.
It's very heartening, isn't it?
Anahata Beatspeaker, or Anahata Sacred Sound Current, is the driving force behind the Vimanas project, and the founder of Anahata Sacred Sound Current, which is a collective of artists from a variety of styles fusing hip-hop, Indian, Middle Eastern, Native American, and reggae. After a near-death experience several years ago, his life turned into a more spiritual direction, and he became a devotee of Yogananda. His vision is to unify the people of the world through the gift of music. So we were talking to Anahata, a fellow sensitive, as the ranch is a veritable playground for sensitives, because there is a lot going on here energetically. So we decided to open the books and talk about his near-death experience and how that affected his relationship to light, color, and especially sound.
I had a near-death experience that definitely changed my life forever, and just saw truth for the first time, and have been on a truth-seeking journey ever since. And definitely music and skateboarding are such liberating things, and inner freedom. So I was told that, that's my gift to the world. So I feel like everybody has their own gift to the world, and if they can just tune into that, and it's unique. So that's just, music's the most powerful thing in the world, in the universe. So I'm just really excited to try to bridge as many worlds with it as we can.
Uh-huh. And so, dude, speaking of music, do you got some music going on in the background there?
My damn text keeps going off, man. Sorry, I don't turn that off.
I kind of like it. It sounds like a movie soundtrack.
It sounded nice. It was like, as you were talking, like there's like this dramatic music.
I think it's a Star Wars sample.
I like it.
Okay.
Why don't can we start with like your background in skateboarding, because that kind of sets it up, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean you've been skating for a long time, right? And skating at the Burnside skate park in particular for a long time.
Yep.
And Burnside is kind of a famous skate park in Portland, Oregon.
Yeah. It's we all started it about 22 years ago, just pouring cement up against this slanted wall because we didn't have anywhere to skate, and all of a sudden it just took off, and we were able to have the city, make it an official park, which is pretty amazing. And then it's just been skating since I was 9 years old, and I'll be 40 this year. So, and I'm having more fun skating right now than ever in my whole life.
Absolutely, and there's a generation of people that, we were young and skateboarding was illegal and the police officers were taking our boards at times, and now we're like this.
Oh, yeah.
We're aging gracefully, and our inner child is still fully intact, and I think it's great to see us growing up.
Oh yeah, man! I remember early on, we were pretty much public enemy number one. You go down on a skateboard, and the little kids are always like so attracted to it, and they're like, "Wow, what is that?" And then the parents would just shoo them away, like, no, don't look at that. You don't want that. Mm-hmm. But I just remember that early on, and now that I have my own 5-year-old son who's ripping pretty hard, we go skate every day, and I swear it's the funnest thing ever.
That's beautiful.
I feel like you go into a different dimension, kind of like when we were up there at the ranch, man.
Yeah, it's like a point of focus.
Well, yeah, that's one thing I've always appreciated, especially as I've gotten older, and I've realized that I always gravitated to going into that zone through skateboarding, through snowboarding, and later on in my life through surfing, and realize that it's just another vehicle for meditation. Essentially, it's another way of getting to an altered state of consciousness and getting into the zone.
Oh, absolutely. I call it meditation in motion.
Yay.
And then mixing that with the yoga, it's just, and music, that's actually how I started making the music, was just because I got sick of hearing all the crap on the radio and just wanted to hear what my soul wants to hear in my headphones when I go skate. Yeah, so that's how it kind of started for me,
Okay, and so was that, now, did you start making music way back in the day, kind of before you had your near-death experience?
Oh yeah, I've been making beats for as long as I've been skating, almost. Well, I guess a few years later, when I was borrowing friends' drum machines and stuff. But yeah, as far back as I can remember, and but now it's really going into, I can feel it really resonating with the source energy,
Mm-hmm. Okay, and so to just touch on again, can you tell us a little bit more about the near-death experience, how that affected your life and your music?
Yeah, so, well, I was skating at Burnside, and I fell to my head, and after spending, about 2 weeks in ICU, going in and out of, dying and going back, I just was filled with all this inner, just insight into truth, and just, I met my guides and my guru, and I was just told really simply, love is the only true reality, all else is an illusion, and it just hit me on such a deep level that, okay, let's rock it. Looking back at my body, and I'm like, oh, I gotta go back to that thing. Oh man.
Right.
When you go up out of the body, man, it's like you're filled with so much powerful voltage of pure divine love energy that it would literally electrocute your body if you felt that right now.
Absolutely.
So it's just the most beautiful thing ever. I don't know why everyone's so scared of it, but anyway, it changed my whole life, and um, just definitely try to touch that as much as I can through music and skateboarding, because that's pure inner freedom right there when you're really in the zone.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. So now I know, like, with our friend James and with other people that we've talked to that have had near-death experiences, like, a lot of times, like, there will actually be some sort of rewiring to the brain and the way that we perceive after coming back. Did something of that nature happen with you, like auditorily and
Oh
with
yeah,
the other senses?
almost instantly. When I did come back for the first time, it was like the sounds were more pristine, colors were brighter. All I was tuning in was, when I was in ICU, actually, I turned my bed so that I didn't have to hear all the hospital sounds and see all the traumatic things happening around me. I turned so I can see the birds playing in the tree outside, and my homie brought me a thumb piano, and I just, it's like, I don't know. Yeah, I guess I was kind of focusing on different things than I used to focus before that. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was a lot darker world before that.
Huh. And so then moving on, you ended up. Can you tell us a little bit about that first album that you ended up releasing?
I had this vision in my head of just merging all these different worlds. Middle Eastern music, Indian music, Native American, and hip hop. But I didn't know any musicians, so I just sampled everything, and it took about 4 years. And basically, that was one thing that's pretty crazy about that is during that, I met my son before he was even born. It was kind of crazy. And there's a song called Karuna on the first one.
Mm-hmm.
It was made like years before he was even born, before we even knew he was coming in. So that's one pretty amazing thing about it.
Cool. Yeah, and that first album, we've been really enjoying it. It's all instrumental. Because initially we contacted you and wanted you to come out and do some basically instrumental music was how I initially had the concept of it. And then we started talking, and with the release of Vimana's, you got kind of excited to maybe bring some of the other friends over along. So could you talk a little bit about what you guys have planned for your guys' contribution at the summer conference?
Basically, we have ourselves a live kirtan, hip-hop collaboration with live musicians with kind of a Indian kirtan feel, a Native American feel, and a reggae feel. So it'll all be... It's hard to explain what this is, man, actually. I don't even know what this is, man. I'm just going with it.
Yeah.
So the Anahata Sacred Sound Current is kind of hip-hop, reggae, Indian kirtan classical music, a little bit of Middle Eastern music, a little bit of Native American music, and basically we're just throwing it all into this, lush beat background, and just see what happens. Possibly Son of Saturn, Son of Satya, and Surya Devi from Vancouver. So should be pretty amazing, high energy. And then we have a full Indian kirtan ensemble with a sitar player, a tabla player, harmonium, and then Ryan on bass, and then me on the drum machine. So we'll just see what we can come up with. Definitely be interesting.
Yeah, and you'll be situated under a group of fairly old growth trees. So it should be a really nice atmosphere to expand into.
Yeah, as the sun is going down and the stars and other things are coming into view in the night sky.
Yeah.
Yes,
That place, man.
Surya Devi, now she does, just so if people don't know what she does as far as devotional mantras, and she's pretty well known in the U.S. and Canada. She's a young woman. How would you describe Surya? Other than just being a total angel.
Yeah, she definitely is really in tune with the angels. She's just an amazing singer, songwriter, but she also has a hip hop background like the rest of us, and so she really the thing that she brings to Vimana's is, she has albums out where she does a lot of kirtan and Sanskrit mantras and stuff like that. And so there's going to be a lot of that going on, a lot of interaction with everybody, you know.
Yeah, awesome.
But yeah, it's a really nice balance of just kirtan, good music, and good, yeah, I don't know.
Good vibes, yeah.
It's definitely experimental.
Well,
But
it's time for experimentation because that's how we're gonna learn and teach each other and laugh and just keep
yeah,
creating.
it definitely is in the high vibration ray for sure. So
Yeah, we're all evolving together.
yeah,
Right.
definitely.
And you guys have had kind of a new approach too with releasing and making it available. Can you tell us a little bit about how people could get their hands on a copy of Vimana's?
Yeah, if you just go to Bandcamp and go to Vimana's Project Volume 1, and I'm not selling anything anymore. It's like everything is energy exchange in the new earth. So it's a donation album. You can put, 20 cents, 20,000, whatever you want to put in there. And it will karmically come back to you through the music.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, it's wonderful because not only the Vamanas project and your beat speaking, it's been a huge part of Nate and I's backbone and support here through these vibrations, and knowing that there's a very alive tribe of awakened people out there, and we're creating and we're collaborating together. So
Yeah.
we're really excited to have this music at the Transformation Celebration this year, and to help inspire, for this graceful transition. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Really appreciate you guys having us up there and just getting to know you guys. I mean, it's like we all have our own, unique thing that we have to do for this whole thing.
It's true. So when you came up, you came up to check out that ranch really briefly over the night and the morning.
Yeah.
Can you tell us, maybe your impression or what you experienced?
Yeah, probably about 10 miles away, I instantly felt the energy shift, from dimensions. And as soon as we got there, it was just like high vibration. The veil was thin. You were able to see things you can't see in 3D. And it's hard to talk about it. And
Yeah.
even without seeing it myself, I was like, I just want to see this. And yeah, I was blown away. We saw a lot of amazing things and felt a lot of amazing energy. And it's all high vibration love source energy. So it's you guys really have something really amazing up there. That's for sure.
Yep, there's many different aspects of it, but when with the near-death experience, I've been through several different initiations, and my sensitivity is very high, as yours is, and many other people that are attracted to this energy. So it can be a veritable playground for sensitives, but it can also be overwhelming, and that's why sound and frequency and fragrance, all kinds of these things can really be medicine in a way to kind of help with the, because I think we're all being really blasted with cosmic energy and our own higher selves fully coming in, is that it can be overwhelming at times, and that music and sound healing is for a lot of people like a bridge, like you're talking about.
Yeah.
And it's like something to lean on, in a way. But it is us. It's all us. But,
yeah, absolutely.
But that aspect, the soothing aspect of those sounds, they help with the physical part of being here, I think. So, yeah.
Yeah, it is actually starting to get to the point of the shift where, when you have been on the practice for, consciously trying to work on it, you can really feel all the beautiful energies that are coming in. And, there's still a lot of people that are way too scared to wake up, and they're going through some pretty hard times, man. And I'm just hoping that, everybody's awakening at a pretty fast rate in their own way. So I'm just can't wait till we're all awake and in our bliss.
And in the meantime, we hold that space.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're just opening a door here for people to have an experience, And I think that, high vibe musicians such as yourself, you're also doing that, and you're allowing this higher energy to come through. So it's very excited. We're very grateful.
You guys have flash floods coming through, and that up there at the Ascetti Ranch, man. I was blown away.
Oh, with the highway. Yeah, that was a
Oh,
very
my
active
God.
night. That was very... What did we see, like 40?
Yeah, I thought I saw like.
I was up there for
40.
like 3 hours, but yeah.
And me and Josh were out there. We couldn't even go to sleep. We were vibrating
yeah.
so much. We slept out in the field with all the orchids. Because you could see them. You could actually see them without the night
Yeah.
vision.
Yeah.
And then there's some other magical creatures around there that you'll just have to, whoever's listening to this will just have to discover themselves.
Yeah, that was an awesome weekend. One of the other things, now that you mention it, about that weekend, the Truth Party guys were here that weekend, and Lo from Kaleidoscope Yoga was there. It was the first time we got to meet him. That we've actually brought him on for the conference as well. He's going to come out and be doing Kaleidoscope group mandala yoga with the group every day of the conference.
Nice.
Dude, you got a chance to try that real quick with us? I know you weren't there for the big session, but what were your impressions on that?
Well, definitely you can feel the energy when you're doing yoga with more than one person, and it's powerful. It's powerful by yourself, but that was the first time I've ever done it with more than one person, and he just gave us a hint of it. But it was, I can't imagine how it would be with like a big, huge group of people.
Yeah, it's going to be cool to see what formations can be made with like 100 or 200 people.
Yeah, it's very approachable even for beginners. It caters to all, levels of experience.
Yeah.
And it's more about the group unity and joy.
Yeah, because everyone around you is supporting you too, so you're supporting them. So it's it's
nice.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah, I think Lo is opening a lot of doors for people as well. So that's going to be a highlight. Just to have group practice so that we're unified as a group.
Well, I just want to say that I really appreciate all you guys up there, man, and it's a huge honor, and I'm just so stoked you guys live so close to me, so I can come up and visit. And it's always been a dream of me personally to share this music on such an amazing, venue. Mm-hmm. So, I don't want to do this at like bars or anything. You know what I mean? So, I'm stoked, man. Perfect. You guys, it's high vibration, and we're bringing high vibration music, and it's just gonna all resonate through everybody, and everyone's gonna feel it. And I'm just stoked, man.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Word up, this year when the murder blood spills on the battlefield for my Durga when a form display. All are in dismay, all mind green, clean, chamundai, DJ, disorder, disarray, flee from us this day when we pray. Hey, ma, it's never in vain, in transcendental service stay, eternally engaged, been through flames, ages, rages and plays, but my Durga's grace always comforts and saves. It removes death, aging, disease and pains. My aunt, the matrix, and all that berries is the body of Shakti, Hecate, Mother Mary, supernatural, yet super ordinary. She supports and carries all the more the merry. Her word, everything occurs in her. God, Hathor, Het, Heru, hey, my Durga. Full time we see divine in each other. Smile, you're a child of the divine mother. She's striking lightning and rolling thunder, all power. None up under nor above her, all forms. Substance, bodies and numbers are hers, as well as all miracles and wonders. Love, bliss, unsurpassed, come from her. Hey, my unconditional lover.
making sacred music. All my true seekers, raise your arms up to the infinite. Too short to box with God, but your reach is truly limitless. Unscrew the useless images, illusion brings division. It's the tool we move our senses with, where you can choose to rip from them and go within. The soul ascends to moksha, listen, silence, can you hear it? Vibrating through your spirit, a myriad, a mirror clearness appears, peerless, piercing the fear to steer us to an experience of pure bliss. Here it is, yo, where right war's supposed to be. War, starvation, and disease exploding openly. Don't overlook the potency of crisis as gestation for the changes taking over things. Choke these demons out, so the teeth up in their mouths. No more feasting on the bleeding, needy peace will see you out. 7 keys to the door, I'm on the floor, the source is loud. Boom, Shiva, Shakti, popping, the cost is lofty, incomparable, inexhaustible, audible mantras move what you thought was impossible to possible. Om Namah Shivaya, soothe and burn up the versions of worthless attachment. The first shall be the last as we disperse through the masses.
Receive the best of blessings in this test of lessons. As my breath stretches and the pressure lessens. Depression is nescience, we're destined for exodus. Exceptional extraterrestrial exorcists. I kiss the celestial breasts and lips of my blessed and uplifted Padma. Word to the sadhus, devas and agoris of Varanasi. From Vasudeva to Vishnu Yasha, Devaki, Yashoda, Gayatri Devi. Mothers and fathers of prophets are gods and goddesses. Realign your optics with Vedic prophecies. Redesign your topics and knavish odysseys. I pray to Christ and Miriam, Krishna and Radha, Buddha and Tara. Priceless myriads of bodhisattvas and tirthankaras. Vishnus and Brahmas, Durgas, Lakshmis, Shivas and Parvatis, Sarasvatis, Mata Kalis, Jarastafari and his empress. Even in the jaws of the Sahara's tempests at Samsara's entrance, I call on gods and goddesses to guide my senses. Like Gaia's sentience, far higher than senseless lies. I aspire to the stars that rise in the farthest skies. I'm like honest friars, conscious lives with super conscious ties. Like martyrs that died in the fire, but don't bother to lie on the pyre. The sacrifice is senseless and Christ's sacrifice is endless. I had to write this sentence, even though I'm blackened by repentance. I'm breathing flows for heathen souls lacking in sentience. I'm back with a vengeance in Laket Shalakin, from Kalakin kings that are kin.
Socrates, the logical fatal fist, unstoppable telepathies, labeled goddesses, hottest tropical degrees, flying saucers in the Malibu, flew through the stratosphere, witness from the beach, Merlin magical feats, released when the pen hits the sheets. G7 omnipresence, Bhagavan, etheric temple, Tibetan tease the backs on the breast, psychic internet, messages sent from mental template, heavenly bodies, interstellar godly, Kali Ma, Parvati, Shivoham, I am that I am, Vakunta Ganesh and the Vasu, descending to ascension, beyond your comprehension. Shivaya.